This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and share the teachings of the founding father of science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Daily with Doc and Becca, the show where we bring things that you can use functionally to your life to help transform your life with real solutions. And we are super excited to be here today and have you join us. My name is Becca Dukes. I am a certified holistic health coach. I am also a certified naturopathic practitioner, the producer and host of this show, and we are a resource for an amazing community of coaches, health advocates, and individuals that just care about you. So if you were referred to this program by somebody specific, make sure that you get back with them. They cared enough about you to share this show, care enough about them to say thank you. And if you have any questions in regards to anything that we hear on or share on Daily with Doc, they are going to be your point of contact first. Now, for those of you who have never heard of anything that we are talking about, you were not referred to this program by anybody specific, and you have never tried any of the nutritional solutions that we offer here on the show, we do have a call team standing by at 855-949-3377. This is a call team of certified holistic health coaches who are available for those who are not already working with somebody. So please make sure you remember who shared this program with you. And if there was nobody, 855-949-3377. Well, folks, today our guest is someone who brings wisdom and passion and practical insight into physical fitness of the brain. So I'm super excited to have Jill Hewlett with us as a powerful voice in the wellness space, known for her heart for people, her commitment to education, and her ability to speak about those complex health topics that might be going on with things above the shoulders. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed with conflict or conflicting health advice, then you're in the right place, as we're going to be sharing more things to help you help yourself. This program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com, where you can find more information about who we are, also our past programming. And without further ado, help me welcome to the screen wonderful friend, Jill Hewlett. Hello, Jill. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca.
Wow. Thank you so much for that enthusiastic welcome and introduction. You just pour so much energy into this, Becca, and it is contagious. I so enjoyed being part of it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's part of the goal. So I'm glad that we're reaching that goal.
Absolutely.
So Jill, tell us a little bit about, we've had 3 episodes, or this is our 3rd episode now.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about things that we can do for our brain. You want to go just a little review over a couple of things that we listed in our first 2 episodes, and then let's just jump right in to today's 3rd episode on brain fitness.
Absolutely. I think it's always good to start with the big picture. So if someone's new to this concept, they can understand where we're coming from and how it relates to and applies to their life. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to know the WIFM, the WIIFM, what's in it for me, right? And so Brain fitness is for every brain and body, everyone with a brain and body at all ages and stages of life, at all levels of functioning can benefit. So that's pretty big, right? That's like pretty much everyone, 7.5 billion people. So how can we narrow that down to the specifics? Well, first of all, I guess the best thing I could share is what composes brain fitness? What is it made of? And so I focus in three particular areas. First of all, it's the awareness that you can change and improve and optimize your brain at every age and stage of life. Okay, this isn't just for young folks or middle-aged folks, it's for the aging brain as well. We all have that ability, and it's thanks to our superpower, neuroplasticity. So that's the starting point, the awareness. And then we go into user-friendly neuroscience. So that includes some biochemistry, some neuroscience, research and studies, and basically taking that information that has been discovered and proven in labs, in research projects, and making it available for the everyday person. So the term that relates to really is applied neuroscience, applying this science to our everyday lives. And I'll share the main sectors that I work with in just a moment. But before I do that, the third component of brain fitness are the strategies. It's the activations, the tools, the approaches that we can implement into our everyday lives to improve our brain health, our mental health, and our cognitive functioning. So we've got awareness, we've got the user-friendly neuroscience, and then we've got the strategies to implement so that we can make it happen. And I have I have right here this expandable sphere, and I talk about moving from using a really limited portion of our brain, and that's typically when we're in stress, dehydrated, haven't slept enough, we've got too much on our plate, too much on our to-do list, we've maybe just had an argument, we're concerned about even bigger picture world issues or crises, or even what's going on with family and friends. And so things like that can take its toll on our brain. And when we get stuck there, that's chronic stress. And so becoming aware of our brain state is part of the brain training. And once we're aware of the state we're in, just that awareness will start to make some changes, because awareness does create new activation in the brain. And then we can implement the tools and strategies. I'll share some more in today's session. If people want to go back and look at the prior interviews, they'll learn some other strategies there too. But ultimately, they can move into their whole brain potential. And this is where we access resources that were always there, but they just weren't available to us because of the state we were in. But again, recognizing that state and then these simple strategies combined with awareness, we can move into a whole brain state of functioning. And this is where we are making better decisions, able to focus better, communicate more effectively, get better sleep, feel more energized throughout the course of the day, have a better attitude and mood. It's all these things are available here. And so guess what? When we're in that state, the world hasn't changed. Others haven't changed. We've changed. Because so often, how do we think, oh, if only this would be better, I could relax. If only this person would agree with me, I'd feel good. If only I didn't have these worries, then I could get a better sleep. But the reality is, if we wait for it's never going to happen, right? Because life has always got things going on. We're getting challenged, left, right, and center sometimes. And so to wait for the world to be in peace and order for us to feel good is not going to happen. So what we need to do is get ourselves into that more balanced, connected, whole brain state. And then we can attend to our lives and to the people, to the situations far more effectively. And the results speak for themselves. People notice really significant positive changes.
Well, and I love the fact that we can have more control over our emotions. We really can. and
Absolutely.
control our emotions instead of our emotions controlling us.
Yes, exactly. And so we talked about our midbrain, our reptilian brain in our last session, where it's really our limbic system. And that's the place where we really build also, this is where our happy neurochemicals reside, which we can activate ourselves. We are responsible for our happiness, and we can moderate those and activate them and use them to our advantage, and how we relate to others. So that was a really important message on the last session we had. Just before I wrap up the little mini intro I'm giving here to brain fitness, I'll also mention the three main sectors that I tend to do training for and I speak at conferences for. And that consists of the education sector. So children learning, teachers, parents, tutors, educational assistants. That's also at not only the public school, but the high school and the post-secondary level, any kind of educational setting or institution. And then the main kind of middle focus for me is the corporate workplace sector. And that consists of all different background, like departments, fields. It really doesn't matter whether it's engineers, HR people, or marketers, like salespeople.
Right.
They all can benefit from understanding their brain better and how to optimize it. And so I often get brought in-house there. And then there's the third sector, which is the health and wellness. And that includes the active aging folks, personal support workers, health practitioners, fitness professionals, people who are into that personal and professional development. So yeah, again, though, everyone can benefit from understanding how their brain functions and how to support it better. And brain fitness is my passion, and I'm happy to speak with anyone who's interested.
Awesome. Well, I'm interested. And one of the things that I want to know about is, why is self-care so important?
That is the starting point, I think, for it all. Because self-care, it begins with us, right? There's a saying, we can't give what we don't have, or we can't pour from an empty cup. And I think a lot of people are actually running on empty, on fumes, and they don't realize it. They've adjusted to that way of functioning, and they just, maybe they're not paying enough attention. Maybe they don't know how to listen to themselves, to the indicators that are symptoms of lack of self-care. But it's so important to learn ways to monitor our self-care and invest into our self-care, because there isn't one absolute approach for everyone. It varies between people, and even from person to person, it will change day to day based on how we're feeling, based on our schedule, based on all sorts of factors. But the base level is we need to start with ourselves, and I see people quote this all the time, but when you're on an airplane, they say, put on your oxygen mask first before you help someone else. You can't help someone else if you are, in stress or overwhelm or struggling. So get yourself in order, and then you can help others. And along those lines, and we talked about this last week, we have something called mirror neurons. And when someone sees someone else do something, if they perceive it as pleasurable or pain avoiding, then the cells in them key into it. It's like they start to resonate and mirror what's going on with that other person. Because as humans, our brain is governed to look for things that are going to make us feel good, the pursuit of pleasure, and to avoid pain. And so the other part of self-care is that when we are role modeling a more happier life, a healthier life, a more fulfilled life. Not that things are perfect, not that we have all the answers, not that we don't have any issues, but that we are taking that leadership role within ourselves because of a big part of that is because of our self-care. Others will notice. Others will also take note of that, right? So we become, not only does our cup run over and we can assist others and we have the energy to do it, just them seeing us investing into self-care is a great indicator and reminder for them to do it as well. So I think, especially in the longevity community, we have an opportunity to be role models. So that would be my first two answers. We can't give what we don't have, and you have an opportunity to be a role model for other people.
I absolutely agree. And especially those of us who are parents, we've got to set that role model for our kids, or our kids are going to be stressed. And you can either go two ways. One, not care and have everything handed to you, not knowing that, oh, was I supposed to do something? Or two, so stressed out trying to figure stuff out, where we haven't set that appropriate role model into how important we ourselves are. And that's something that I've just realized over the last couple of years is I have to, looking at my kids and how each of them are, the different phases of my life, and their actions reflect.
And there's a saying, our actions speak louder than our words. So you're absolutely right. When we're role modeling self-care, integrity, making good choices, making healthy choices, others will pick up on it. And we have to walk the talk. And
Yes.
the reality is people will be more affected by how we show up, who we are, than what we say. Because words will mean nothing if there aren't actions behind it, right? So especially, like you said, for our families and for our children, because kids these days are, entering a very interesting world where things are moving fast. There's lots of change and uncertainty. There's a lot of technology that can distract them and take up their time. We need to come back to the most important technology there is, our own brain and body. And we can be great role models for that. And the other thing, though, I also want to mention is that, and we know this, right? Health and wellness people are aware of this. Prevention is key. So if we don't invest in our self-care now, we'll have to do it later by taking care of illness, right? It's ultimately, it's going to catch up if we aren't doing the healthy things. And ironically, the things we need to do to get better are the things that we could do ahead of time that would keep us from getting sick. Do you know what I mean? Like, for the most part, I realize there's exceptions. I don't want someone to think, oh, I got sick, but I was taking care of myself, and they feel maybe that not understood in that way or negated for their efforts. I don't want to take that. I don't want that to come across, because I realize, like, we could be doing all these great things and still catch a cold or still, have a health issue. I get it, but it's an investment. And just like we can't control our financial investments, we can make an effort, right, to invest and save and be prepared for down the road. And our health is our wealth. And so what we do is we do the best we can to invest in ourselves now, so that we can delay, we can reverse issues, we can delay issues, we can, reverse chronic degeneration and offset chronic degeneration. And then in the meantime, we are also being so proactive that, ideally, though, that the things that we would have to do later, in doing them now, we're saving ourselves time and money.
Most definitely. So tell me, why do people avoid self-care?
Well, I think in many cases, it hasn't been role modeled to them. So they may not be part of their family culture or the conversation growing up. They may not understand really, so what self-care could look like, what options are available to them, they might think they don't have time for self-care. And really, you don't have time not to do it. So I do think it's a lack of maybe seeing others doing it, it being a priority in their family culture or their values, in the role modeling, and definitely a lack of understanding of what self-care could look like, and that it doesn't need to take a lot of time and energy. And in the long run, it will actually save time and energy.
Well, absolutely. And I totally understand not knowing what self-care looked like, because it wasn't role modeled. What was role modeled was always waiting on everybody else and never taking time for myself. So how about,
yes,
what
and
is
that's for a lot of people, Beck. I want to honor that because that's big, and a lot of people, parents, caretakers, mothers, fall into this role of doing for everyone else, and by putting themselves last, usually there isn't any time or energy left for that, and then it's like just kind of laying on the couch or falling into bed and then getting up and starting the same routine again. So in today's session, I'm going to share, as you know, not yet, but I will share strategies that people can implement that take 30 seconds to a minute and can be part of a daily routine that gives back so much more than the small amount of time that it takes. And so people will see what self-care can look like and the benefits it can give them.
absolutely wonderful. I'm looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and share what self-care looks like according to the brain fitness model.
Right. So we have specific approaches. Of course, we are open to anything that would benefit someone's self-care. I say go for it if it makes you healthy and happy. That's wonderful. It doesn't hurt anyone else, then for sure, go for it.
Right.
But in the meantime, when we look at brain fitness, a big one is to start with hydration. I've got my water bottle right here. I filled it up before our talk, so I'm going to even have a sip right now. Keeping our brain hydrated, walking around with water handy, keeping it at our desk when we're working, keeping it in our bag when we're traveling around. Our brain is an electrical unit. It requires proper hydration, so communication can move from the sensory system to the nervous system to the brain, and so all our neurons can function and communicate properly. The moment we're dehydrated, our brain literally shrinks, literally, and we can become susceptible to headaches, brain fog, a lack of focus, irritability, a hard time accessing our executive functions, so creativity, decision making, problem solving, self-management, all those things go out the door, and then we just struggle. So much can benefit us from just staying hydrated. So I say that's a great starting point. Another one is deep breathing. And a deep breathing tends to connect us to our awareness, because the moment we think about breathing, we think, oh, I'm holding tension. Oh, my brain's going a mile a minute. Oh, I'm focusing on the past or worrying about the future. I'm not being in the present moment. So breathing is an amazing entry point. It's a mindfulness activity. It gets us into that present moment, and it creates a brain shift. So that's another wonderful self-care practice. And then we talk about there's a whole oh my gosh, a long list of activities that I refer to as neurobics, brain exercises. Just like people know, aerobics are cardiovascular activities for the heart and circulatory system, cardiovascular system. Neurobics are activities for our brain and our neurovascular system. And so having people aware of these different activities and inserting them throughout the course of the day, they don't require any equipment. They only take 30 seconds to a minute to do. You notice immediate changes and benefits, and they can be done in various ways: seated, standing up, even laying down if you want to. It can be done on your own or with partners. And so I have all these wonderful activities. If people go to my website and the courses page, they'll see all sorts of options there. And all of my courses are full of these brain fitness activities or neurobics. And
share your website. Go ahead and
okay,
share your website.
great. It's jillhewlett.com. So yeah, if people want to reach out there, that would be great. And you know what? Again, all these activities, they don't need any equipment, but I also do have ones that can be done with balls, with scarves, with balloons. So there's a lot of options, and there's something for everyone. And it's about kind of picking and choosing what resonates with you, what feels most enjoyable for you, and starting there and then building on your brain fitness program. And so that's another part of it. And then there's also the mindset training. We have, tens of thousands of thoughts per day, and a lot of them are just reruns from the day before. And so we're not optimizing our mindset to be more useful for us. There are terms called fixed mindset and growth mindset. And Carol Dweck is kind of the founder of that, I guess, philosophy or research. And basically it comes down to that there's people who naturally gravitate to a fixed mindset where they think change is hard, life is difficult, I can't grow, I'll always be the same. It's kind of connected with, it's more of a struggle. Okay. Life is more of a struggle compared to those who are either predisposed to or cultivate a growth mindset. And the growth mindset is where we think, hey, something could be challenging, but I'm up for the task. I've got resources, there's people I can ask to help me, I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to change, life is about growth. Have me at it, like I want to dig into whatever growth opportunities are there, because that's what life is about. And I'm a contender. I'm a player in this life experience. So by understanding our natural default, and that includes things about our personality, our values, our biases, when we start to learn about these things, which is part of my mindset training, then people can start to, with their awareness and knowledge, start to change their mindset. So it supports them in a more favorable way. And yeah, we're not stuck. Our mindset can change. It's going to take practice, because we have a typical default that we are going to fall into out of habit, out of, just having done it for so long, and whatever we repeat gets myelinated. And so our brain doesn't discern between a good habit and a bad habit. Whatever we're doing regularly, the brain wants to make it easier for us, because our brain loves to save energy. So it's like, it will just create this myelination, this protein sheath on the axons of between the neurons, so the communication can happen faster, and it creates a more robust communication channel, an easier, faster communication channel. And then what happens is that creating a new habit doesn't feel as easy. So we have to stick with it. We need to incentivize ourselves, which is part of brain fitness training, and set intentions and set goals and learn how to kind of reward ourselves along the way, so we stay with it, so that we can build a new pathway that we default into that's better for us. So there's the mindset training. And then last but not least, healthy eating and supplementation. I mean, really choosing good, healthy food, real food, not processed, not fast food, but real, fresh, vital food that's full of lots of nutrients and fiber. And then supplementing, because we know that even with the best of intentions and healthy eating habits, we still need to supplement, especially with the minerals, and Doc Wallach's message being the mineral doctor first and foremost, but also for the 90 for life supplements, right? So we get the program. And so sipping on our BTT, our Beyond Tangy Tangerine, having our minerals in our water and our foods, that by adding it in, I like to add minerals to whatever I can. There you go. Right?
Whatever.
Yes, I've got
Yeah.
mine right here too. And these are easy, but like just taking sips throughout the course of the day. That doesn't take time. It's just a matter of doing it.
That and that doing it part is what gets results. Thinking about it or having it in your cupboard, it's not going to get the results, folks. So it's that doing part for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we have questions and comments coming in, but before we get to those, please tell me about your dad's health story. How does that pertain to longevity and self-care?
I'd be happy to share that, because it's a big part of why we're with the longevity community. And my dad was referred to by Doc Wallach as the head coach up in Canada. So it's really a special connection that goes a way back. So without sharing too much of the other stories that I shared in our first two chats that are recorded and people can access, I will just quickly mention that we came across Doc Wallach because of my mom's health issue. And I share that in our prior conversation with you. And so basically during that time when my mom was getting results thanks to Doc Wallach, because she was experiencing chronic degeneration, and the family doctor said, there's nothing we can do. This is just the aging process. And just here's some painkillers, basically to ignore the symptoms. And she said, no, that's not the route I want to go, and got onto the supplements in the program. This was around the same time that was just around when my dad had his health issues, which were very significant. In fact, he had several heart attacks to the point where he was hospitalized, and they told him that he had to have triple bypass surgery. Now, he wasn't keen on it because at this point he was already into understanding about natural health and natural approaches, but it was at a situation that if he had one more heart attack, they wouldn't be able to operate. So he said, okay, I'm going to go for this triple bypass. So he did, and he came out the other side, and so grateful. He came out, and now it was the road to recovery. However, the doctors basically said he would never fully recover, and he would basically need to spend the rest of his days on the couch with his feet up on a grocery list of medications. Again, my father being already now into this healthier understanding and mindset, and he's like reading health books in the in the hospital, trying to point things out to his doctor. But you know, anyway, he realized that he wanted to engage with life again. He wanted to heal, and he didn't want to be on all those medications. So long story short, he got on Doc Wallach's program, and Doc advised him on what to take. And he had an amazing healing progression that occurred. And for the next decade and a half, he lived his life on his terms. He was active, running his business, sharing the longevity message, not taking any medication, like zero. He wouldn't even take a Tylenol or an Advil. He was hardcore. And he put his faith really into this, and it did pay off because, again, he had quality of life for about a decade and a half that was on his terms. Now, I will say that when it came to slowing down and self-care, my dad was kind of more narrow in that regard. So he did believe in the healthy eating. He did believe in the taking the supplements. He did believe in sports too, actually, because a big reason why we believe the heart attacks came about was because he was actually in a situation where He played a ton of sports growing up and into his adult years. And he was on the go all the time. And being an entrepreneur and running a small business and then becoming a father to 3 young children and a husband to my mom, he was basically go, go, go. And so we ultimately believe that he didn't know about healthy eating and supplementing then. And that led to these heart issues and basically this decline. So now, after the heart stuff happens, he's eating healthy, he's taking his supplements, he's feeling great. But, maybe some meditation, maybe some massages, maybe a slower paced life, would have really benefited him and also would have allowed the nutrition to do its work more. Because although it was doing great things, we know that when we're in stress or busy, or not digesting our food properly, we can only get so much benefit and absorption from it, right? So ultimately, a decade and a half later, my dad starts having some chest pains. And my mom takes him to, they end up going to the emergency because there was a concern. Of course, because of his past. And he was like, I'm not feeling good. Like, we need to get this checked. So going to the emergency, when he was there, they booked him in. They said, yep, there's a situation here. What ended up happening, Becca, is that they put stents in to help with the blockage in the heart. Now, I'm not sure if people listening know about this, but stents can be useful. And yeah, but they can dislodge plaque. So when he was literally at the hospital a few days later having his stents, a day or two later, plaque had got dislodged and went up and caused an aneurysm. So he ended up having a significant stroke while at the hospital. Now, thankfully it happened there because they did fast intervention. We were actually right there with them when he was having the stroke. And at first we thought he was falling asleep in his chair. But I said, Mom, dad looks dizzy. She's like, I think it was her who said, oh my God, I think he's having a stroke. So we call the nurse and he gets rushed again now into surgery, and they do what they can to, I think it's called an ablation. I can't remember the term. Anyway, they ended up working on him. And when he came out, he was like in a coma-like state. He was alive, but he wasn't responsive. So ultimately, we're now working with different departments, the neurology department and the cardiology department, because he had prior heart stuff. So they had to be aware of that. And now he has to be aware of the brain stuff. And so what ended up happening was they said they didn't know what would be done. Every case is different. They can't tell us if or when he would get better. And we just needed to wait it out. Now, let's talk about this for a second. Your parent, your loved one, your dear friend in your life or family member is lying in bed and the medical field saying, we're just going to sit there and see what happens. Do we think that's the best approach? I mean, what can we do? We're not neurosurgeons. We're not doctors. We're not scientists. What can we do? You know what we can do? The common sense approaches. What we can do are the things that are within our realm of influence. And these are similar to brain fitness activities. And I'll tell you what this looked like. First of all, he had family show up on a regular basis, daily basis. When we're there, we talk to him. We let him know we're there because we don't know what he can hear and what he can't hear. So we're just talking to him. We're talking to each other. We're doing our best to be calm and relaxed and just be there and provide energy support. And then we make sure that the room can be as fresh as possible by opening the blinds, getting daylight in, fresh air. We actually start spraying the room with aromatherapy so that it smells better. Now the nurses are saying this is the best smelling room in the hospital and they enjoy coming here. Well, that's a bonus, isn't it? So all these little things add up. And then we're like, well, we're going to play music for my dad, his favorite music. So we're playing that. And then we also realized during this time that sitting there without activating the circulation and the energy of the body, of the cells, isn't helpful. So we're massaging him. We're massaging his hands. We're massaging her feet. What does Doc Wallach say? Spray him with minerals and massage the minerals into his body. So now we're doing that, more electrical energy, right? And so we're doing all these like strategies for him to know we're there and to help activate his system naturally, not override anything, but give it that support. It was incredible. I remember the day that I was massaging his leg, and up to this point, there wasn't any response. I mean, his eyes weren't even opening. Becca, I remember the day when his leg twitched. It like responded back. And I was like, oh my goodness. If this can, like, if he can have that little response, he can have more of a response. We just, and I'll tell you the excitement, the joy we felt, like, oh my gosh, something just happened. And it was the beginning of an awakening, like a person almost coming out of a cocoon with this gradual movement of the foot, then eventually the other foot and leg, and then the one arm, and then his other arm never did respond because he ultimately was paralyzed in his right arm after. But again, gradually responding, gradually awakening, opening his eyes to the point where he started to talk. Now, we couldn't understand a word he was saying, and he was getting really frustrated with us because you know what he was asking for? His
drink of
nutrition.
water?
Oh, a drink of water. A drink of water. That's great. He was asking for his nutrition. So he was getting hydrated, but he wanted his BTT. So now my mom, because we had to wait till he got to the point where he could swallow on his own. And once he could, now my mom's making these drinks with all the BTT, the minerals, putting in the other capsules, opening them up, blending it up, bringing these drinks. And he's getting better and stronger and stronger. And ultimately, 6 months later, he ends up leaving the hospital walking and talking. And it was just incredible because while his arm was paralyzed and he was right-handed, so dominant, so that was tricky, or an adjustment for him. And he had aphasia, which meant that he could communicate sometimes, but sometimes basically he understood what someone was saying, but he couldn't get the words out. And that's a whole other story for another time, because the strategies that were involved in that phase of supporting him are really important and powerful, but we'll leave that for another conversation. I will say, though, that they were amazed. The medical field was amazed. It was like a poster boy for recovery, and he left the hospital, like I said, walking and talking, and we had another number of really special, meaningful years with him. And there were, again, some changes and adaptations, and my mother is the best caregiver ever. And had she not improved her health through Doc Wallach, she wouldn't have been able to care for my dad the way she did. So really, it's a full circle, and it just goes to show how our own self-care can benefit others, because she was able to be there for him by that stage, because she had such an incredible health journey and healing because of longevity and Doc Wallach. And then my dad, of course, as you just heard his story, and the number of years we had after. And then ultimately things caught up with him, because he had been through a lot, as you can imagine, several heart attacks, triple bypass, aneurysm. But it was still so much more time than we would have had otherwise, and quality time too.
That quality time is so important. So important, because it is so tough to see your loved one not able to take care of themselves when they spent all those years caring for you, which goes right back to self-care, folks. We have to take care of ourselves so that we can continue to take care of those, like her mom did for her father. That's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
And Yeah, after my grandmother had her stroke, I think I was about 12 years old, and she could speak, but the only thing she could say was, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can.
Wow.
And it affected her left side. So she still had her brilliant handwriting where she was able to write what she wanted us to know. But I love the fact that I think I can. I think I can. And that was as clear as day.
That is
It's
so
just,
beautiful. You should make shirts that say, I think I can, I think I can, and keep
yeah.
her message going. That
And
is
then,
beautiful. That
right. And then I know I can.
I know I
So
can. Yes.
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 So let's go. What are some of the activities? And before we get too far into this, and before I forget,
Right.
there are two people that want me to say hello, Goddess Jill. And that is Pharmacist Ben
No
and
way. That's
Coach
funny.
AJ. So had to
That's
say
great.
hello. And folks, again, JillHewlett.com. That's JillHewlett.com to find out more about Jill and her mindset courses. We just want to make sure that you have access to that information because it is life-changing, incredible information that she has put together. And I just, I adore what you do. I've seen you in action at conferences, and you truly are one of those people that light up the room and draw them in. And we need to share more of you with the world. So
Oh my
that's
goodness.
our
Wow.
goal. So folks, share this program with somebody you know, especially if they're struggling with self-care, if they're struggling with nutrition, if they're struggling with mindset. I know you can think of at least half a dozen people. Share this program with them. If you're here live with us and you want to find this program again, you can always go to stream, STREAM dailywithdoc.com. That takes you to our most recent episode. And then make sure you follow the channel so that you get notifications when we come back live again. And turn on those notifications. Turn on the notifications. Like us, share us, comment, because we have questions and comments coming in as well. So what are some activities and strategies that we can implement to support our own self-care?
Okay, great question. And thank you for all those amazing kind words, Becca. Back at you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So just here, I want to just really show how quick and easy this can be to invest in our self-care. So I would like to, just for a moment, cheers to everyone. Let's have a sip of water. Okay, invest into our hydration. Right, great starting point. And then we're going to do something called the breathing star. So imagine a 5-pointed star in front of you, and you're going to take one hand out and point your pointer finger, and you're going to basically trace this star. Okay, and even if it doesn't look like exactly like a star, don't worry. Okay, no one's being tested here. So make the whatever star you can. And then what we're going to do is we breathe in on a line. Then when we get to a point, we hold our breath for a moment, and then we exhale on the next line. And then we inhale, and then we pause on the next point, and we exhale. And actually, we pause on the points on the outside of the star and the inside of the star. You'll get it as we do it because we'll do it together. But what's so great about this is it gives us something to focus on while we're breathing. And I like to say it helps you to become the star that you are, because we can't, if we're not breathing properly, if we're in stress, we're not accessing our higher brain because we're, in survival mode, that's not going to help us. It's not going to help anyone else. So let's do this. And also you're getting the brain going by getting movement, and we're going to do it with the right hand, well, whatever hand you want to start with. Start with your dominant hand, because then we're going to switch over and do it with the non-dominant. Okay, let's do this. So starting at, say, the top of the star, but if you want to start somewhere else, that's fine. And we're going to breathe in, pause, exhale, And so you continue again, and you can make this as big as you want. So you start with the size you have, and then maybe you want to take deeper breaths, longer inhales and exhales, so make it bigger. So you might go, and so you carry that on, and then I invite you to do it with your other hand, going the opposite direction. It's going to have you thinking and breathing and moving, which is a very important brain training in a way that you don't normally activate your brain. Plus, you're getting just the benefit of taking deeper breaths, right? And moving into that present moment. So you do the same thing again, hold on the points, inhale, pause, exhale, pause, inhale, pause, exhale, pause. So you got it. That's the first activity. The next activity is and doesn't that you don't have to do it in any particular order. You could whatever one you like, and you can do it. I'm just sharing them in the process of what I'm thinking of them, but you can do them in any order. You're just going to give yourself your shoulder a squeeze, and then you're going to rub your hand across your body to your opposite hip. And then you're going to do the other side. You're going to give your shoulder a squeeze and go across. And you're just going to then continue this movement. And what this is doing is it's reactivating your core. And what happens is so many people, when we're in stress, we go into sidedness. And this is a cross-lateral activity, similar to the benefits of walking, where you're crossing over, opposite hand to opposite leg. We did that one before. This is a different variation of it. And by doing this several times, you actually help increase brain integration of the left and right sides, core stabilization, and getting opposite sides of the body activated simultaneously too. There's so many benefits. When we're in stress, we go into sidedness, where our dominant side takes over. This is a reminder for the whole system to work together as a team. So there's that. Then another, oh, go ahead.
Well, there is a question in regards to the star and the breathing.
Oh, okay.
Question is, do we breathe in through our nose and out through our lips?
Great question. I say breathe the way you're most comfortable first off. However, how I teach it and how we do in brain fitness, we breathe in through the nose to energize our neurons and exhale through our mouth to cleanse and detoxify. So in through the nose, but if someone's having any struggle with breathing or their nose is plugged, they need to go in and out with the mouth. That's fine too. But great question. And then another activity is just to shift our posture. And I'm working with the star and integration activity here. So what you're going to basically do is just do a stand. Join me, anyone who is willing to get up, or in your chair, you can do it with your legs out. And you're making a 5-pointed star. And you're just aware of your hands. So you're going to like just shake your hands. And then you're going to tap your feet. And then you can tap and move your head. I like that. Move the head. And then you can squeeze your right hand and tap your right foot at the same time. And then your left hand and your left foot at the same time, right? And then your right hand and your left foot. Your left hand and your right foot. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. And then all of it at once, hands, feet, and head. And take a big breath and release. So that's you can call that the shooting star if you want. The idea there, of course, is you're just coordinating different parts of the body. You're becoming aware. This helps with proprioception. It helps with balance. It helps with vestibular, helps with the sensory system. It does all these little activities add up, because what happens is when we're sitting for too long, when we're stressed, when we're not getting a variety of movement, we're only activating certain brain patterns and pathways. So this opens us up to more of our resources, more of our potential, and gets things moving.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. We have just a few minutes, so let's go ahead and get to some questions and comments. And let's bring on Phyllis. Phyllis, where are your questions coming from today?
I've got a couple of questions from YouTube, but Jill, I have to say, I just love all of this. focus on the brain and helping our whole body. And our brain is part of our body. So it just all ties in. It's wonderful stuff.
Thank
And
you so
also,
much.
and also thank you both for your just captivating stories. I'm just was enthralled with hearing about your dad and Becca, your aunt. Thank you for sharing those. Okay, so we have a couple questions from YouTube. Olga, kind of a two-part question. One, how does inspiration, craft, and creativity affect our brain? And then the second part, I have more ideas in my head than time to make those happen. We can all
I
relate.
feel your pain. I feel
Oh,
your
that's
pain,
great.
Olga.
Oh, thank you, Olga. You know, I would just say, first of all, that creativity is the higher part of our brain, executive functions. And so when we're in stress, we are less available or connected with our creative potential. So reducing stress is a great strategy to become more creative, first of all. And then there's a lot of people who believe that part of their mindset is inhibiting their creativity because they might think, I'm not a creative person. Clearly, that's not Olga, but there's a lot of people who think I'm not creative. But the reality is, if you're designing your day, like choosing what you're going to eat, you know, who you're going to talk to, what you're going to work on, you're creating your day. You're constantly in a creative mode. So just people just think of it only in the art way, but there's all sorts of ways to be creative. So I think if there's a mindset issue, there's a stress reduction issue. And then also, you know, if someone is getting a lot of creativity, but having an issue organizing their life to actually act on their creative ideas, then it's not about creativity. It's about time management. It's about organization. It's about structure. It's about, you know, delimiting the ideas and prioritizing which one am I going to start with and which one is maybe going to be the most enjoyable or have the most payoff, and then decide from there, next step, because there's only so much time and energy every day that we have to do things. So that's another part of brain fitness, which is called brain organization profiling, where we work on someone's self-organization. We work on their ability to focus, their ability to initiate, their ability to carry through on a project, and their ability to wrap up. And so all of those things are the complement to creativity.
I think we all could use some more of that. Brain time management. Hunter has an interesting comment. Some people need their problems, so don't take away their exercise or excuse or reason for not progressing. Then it would be up to them to better themselves.
Okay, so is the point that people need a challenge? Is it in order to a reason to improve or a reason to work harder? Is that the point?
I think what he's saying is that people identify with their problem and it becomes part of their identity in a sense. So they claim they want to get better. And I know all of us as coaches have worked with people that they talk a good talk, but they're not really serious about making a change.
That is such a great point. So there's something that we work on in the brain fitness training, which is called willingness. And so before we actually say, I'm going to do something, we really need to get in touch with, are we willing to change? What would be the pros of changing? What would be the cons of changing? Because you're right. In many cases, people have identified with their struggle. It gets them a lot of sympathy. It keeps them away from taking risks. And did you know that our nervous system will literally brace itself against success? Because success still means change. It means new responsibilities. It means a new way of being in many cases. So our nervous system also has to adjust not only to reducing stress, our nervous system needs to adapt to capacity for growth. So everything we're doing helps with both, which is great. You know, whatever activity we just did, it reduces stress and it opens up our capacity for growth. And so sometimes growth and success and achievement people can keep that at bay simply because of fear of that and the change that would entail. So again, you know what, Phyllis, it's the awareness. Someone might say they're willing, but then when we go further into the conversation, we realize, hey, they actually aren't willing. What would it take to become willing to make a change?
And don't you think we also listen to our brain chatter, which is oriented towards protecting ourselves? oh, you want to be safe. You don't want to go out there and try this or that thing. It might be a problem. You know, we have this chatter that goes on.
Oh, totally, totally. We have all these internal dialogues that we don't even realize we're having too. That's another thing. So having a coach is a wonderful thing. And the coaching work you're clearly doing there, Phyllis, you're very in tuned. You can help people speak out their issue so they realize, oh my gosh, that was going on inside. That was the recording. And then they get a chance to change it.
Well, this is just excellent stuff. And your winter tan looks wonderful, by the way. All right.
4 days in Florida. I arrived when it was record-breaking cold, but it went up to on the last 2 days to 22 degrees, and we were actually at the beach.
22 degrees Celsius.
Yes.
Because that's still 22 degrees is like, yeah, I'm gonna get an iceberg.
Listen, I'm Canadian and we're dealing with negative 20 temperatures. So this was like a 40-degree improvement.
Well, and I'm trying to learn because my honey, he was raised where they used Celsius. And so when he says this, I'm like automatically calculating, okay, what is that?
Yeah, exactly. It is a difference. Yes.
More brain exercises.
Yes.
So yes. So we do have a couple more comments, and one ZZ Captain out on YouTube says, I know that if you don't use your brain the way you used to use it, your brain can shut down. And ZZ Captain learned this from an 108-year-old lady. So that's right. You got to keep on thinking, keep on exercising your brain, folks. And Bruce says, thank you, Becca. You always get great guests. Jill is a positive delight. Thank you, Bruce. So, Jill, any closing comments that you would like to share with the group?
Yes. Thank you for that. This has been a joy. I can't wait for our next conversation. And thank you, everyone, for participating, and do those brain exercises and stay hydrated, and take your supplements too, because it really makes a huge difference. So on that note, for a closing message, I would just say that it's so important to invest in our self-care, because our body is our temple. It's our home. It's where we live. And then when we take care of our body, it impacts our brain, and our brain is how we live. It's the CEO of our life. So where and how we live is right here. It's right in us. So it's so crucial that we invest into it for those benefits. And then for one final piece of inspiration, in the process of taking care of our body and our brain, we're also taking care of our heart, our connection with others, our role modeling, our ability to serve, our ability to show up in community, our ability to give and receive all those positive feelings and joys of life and love. And that, to me, it's like the where we live, the how we live, and the why we live. And that's my closing remark for today. I hope that lands.
I love that. The where, the why, or the where, the how, and the why. That's wonderful. Well, if I could get our co-hosts up on the screen with us as well, I am just so thankful that we don't have to do this all by ourselves. We've got other people bringing in those questions, watching the screen, letting people in. And folks, if you tried to get in today and weren't able to get in, don't give up. We want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to hear live daily with Doc and Becca, and make it so that it's a safe place for everybody. So that is why we did have to do some changes. And I just want to say thank you, Jill, for spending your time with us today. We greatly appreciate you bringing your wisdom, your knowledge, your heart, just your love, your passion. I just absolutely love our shows and time together. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you to my co-hosts, as we have Sherry and Ruth Ellen both on the tech crew, helping with getting everything set up. AJ as well did some setup before he had to take off. So thank you, AJ, for getting those things set up so that we could do the rest of the stuff. Many hands make light work, folks. Absolutely love that. So thank you so much, Ruth Ellen, as she's taking the stream, putting it together, pushing it out onto all the different platforms. We also have Phyllis, who brought questions in to the Zoom. Thank you so much, Phyllis, as you're keeping track of what's going on the different platforms. Appreciate that. And we have Marilyn, who is busy as a little bee with her speedy fingers, making sure that information gets put into the chat. So if you're here live with us and you have that chat open, you know how hard Marilyn works as she's doing dictation and making it easier for you to take notes. And we have, last but not least, the only testosterone in the group, and that is Albert and Marty behind him, who is one of the residents on his homestead. So thank you, Albert, as he is our gatekeeper, letting people in and joining us from South Africa, which truly makes us an international show. So thank you so much, everybody, and all of our guests who are in the waiting, or not in the waiting room anymore, but live with us here in the Zoom. Thanks for taking the time and investing in yourself to learn more about brain fitness and self-care. Folks, my name is Becca Dukes, and as a certified holistic health coach and director of student services for the Institute of Holistic Health, I would be doing you a disservice and not letting you know that you also can become a certified holistic health coach, help yourself, your family, your community, and together we're helping the world create a better health story. So if you want more information about that, you can go to Coach with IWH. That's Coach with IWH, and get more information .com and get more information about the coaching course. And go to Daily with Doc, sign up for our newsletter. That way you know exactly what's going on with our programming and keep you in the know. So folks, thank you again for joining us. If you're not working with somebody, feel free to give us a call at 855-949-3377. That's 855-949-3377. And if you have questions that you'd like to email in, questions@dailywithdoc.com. Again, that's questions with an S on the end at dailywithdoc.com. So folks, until next time and tomorrow, Ruth Ellen is going to be hosting Raymond and Yolanda Brown and bringing more energizing excitement to our community. So you don't want to miss out on that one either. And then Friday, we have Pharmacist Ben coming back with even more information. So everybody have a great, great day. We will talk to you later and see you next time on Daily with Doc and Becca. Bye for now.
This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and share the teachings of the founding father of science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and share the teachings of the founding father of science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach.